Unit 11. Animal Life. 11.2. Exercise 2.
Animals have played a major role in human society for many thousands of years, as food, to help in hunting, and to provide companionship. And their importance is reflected in our mythology. Many cultures have myths in which animals play a significant role in the creation of the earth and everything on it. For example, a snake is a major figure in the mythology of the Aboriginal people of Australia. There's a long tradition of animals appearing in literature, and nowadays in films too. Sometimes they appear as themselves, as in wild animal stories, a popular literary form in the USA in the first half of the 20th century. These stories aim to give a realistic view of animals and their lives, although the standpoint was occasionally somewhat romanticized. And many authors have written stories arguing the need to give animals greater protection, often by reducing the amount of pollution human beings create. In this literary approach, the actual physical qualities of a species are presented, but animals are often used symbolically in literature, particularly in fables. These are short stories, usually written to make a point about a moral issue, often through satire of how human beings behave. Impossible events take place. Most characters are animals that have a command of language and behave in other respects too, like human beings, while keeping their own physical shape. Fables are thought to have originated in the Middle East 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, and they're also found in the ancient literatures of Iran, India, and other cultures. Aesop, who lived in Greece in the 6th century BC, wrote a large number of fables that still retain their popularity, and many other writers have followed in his footsteps. In English literature, a much longer fable is George Orwell's political satire Animal Farm, published in 1945. Animal Farm is unusual in being a fable for adults. Far more often the target audience is children, and fables provide them with examples of good and bad behaviour. The Just So stories, written by the British author Rudyard Kipling in the late 1890s, are typical of the genre. As in the same author's Jungle Book, the stories contain many animal characters. The Just So stories tell of how the earth began, and of the people and animals who live on it, and they recommend certain ways of behaving. Let me give you an example. One story, How the Camel Got His Hump, is set at the time when animals were first domesticated. A dog, a horse, and an ox work for a man, but the camel, who lives alone in the middle of the desert, is lazy and refuses to work. As a result, the other three animals have a heavier workload. They complain to the magical creature in charge of all deserts, who tells the camel to work. The camel simply replies, "Humph." So, the magical creature punishes him by giving him a hump on his back. This holds enough food for the camel to work for 3 days without eating, to make up for the time he's missed. The moral of the story is that everyone ought to work, in order to contribute to the common good.